Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's your man, Chris Jones, NoVACAIN Kennels. And this is life-sustaining fat. Uh, you know, often when I talk about raw food, I talk about how people decide when they're feeding raw, they remove the skin of the chicken. They also trim off the fat out of like when they feed kidney or liver, and all of those organs have connected tissue, and it's fat. They trim off the fat around heart. If they give chicken or turkey necks, they take the fat off of there. So they're really stripping fat from their dog's diet. And I say, that's totally wrong. And this is the reason I consider it wrong, because I've noticed some things, throughout my yard, and I only talk for experience, from what I know, from what I learned, from what I've put into use, put into play, and noticed, something was off, so I had to make adjustments. And one of the things that I noticed is the dogs need the fat, life sustaining fat. Now, what life sustaining fat is, it's the fat that you feed a dog that gets stored in the dog as energy. All right, dogs get energy from protein, they get energy from carbohydrates, and they get energy from fat. All right, so when you're working out, this is going human a little bit. When you're working out or you're working your dogs out, typically within the first 20 to 25, 30 minutes, the dogs use up the energy reserves from carbohydrates first. And then after that time, that's when they start to use the energy up from fats. All right. So if you're thinking about it, you're like, okay, I kind of get what you mean, because you explained it like that. They use carbos first, and then they use the fat reserves for the energy, which are life sustaining fats. But if you are feeding the dog and you're feeding too much fat, that can be harmful and risky, because you're just adding too much fat, and your dog is actually getting fat as a result of it. But if you're feeding too little fat, your dog will have a very low energy, a very low drive, which you don't want. You want a dog at a good balance, so they can go outside and run around for a while. They can go on hikes, they can go swimming, and not tire out as quickly. All right. So when I say dogs need the life sustaining fat, what I mean by that is the dogs need the fat that comes with the chicken skin, that comes on chicken. They need that skin that comes on the kidney. They need that little bit of fat strip. They need the little fat that comes in heart. They need this stuff, because if you're feeding a raw diet, the way you're feeding the dog is more natural compared to your commercial diets. Your commercial diets typically are like I said before, protein. They focus on the protein, then the fat, and then everything else. So if a kibble manufacturer can focus on the protein, the fat, and then everything else, as raw feeders, we need to focus on the protein, the fat, and everything else. No, it's the same deal. The only difference is we're actually preparing the food. We're actually giving the dogs a better nutrition, better nutrients at a higher grade, because we are focused on feeding dogs raw food. We're focused on feeding dogs what they call biologically appropriate foods. All right, so this isn't going to be too long. Look up. I want you guys to look up fats. Just look up what life sustaining fat is, or the benefits of having fat in your diet. Like, as I said, fats are good. Fats can be harmful if given too much. Fats can be harmful if given too little. But you need to have a good balance. And the way that I come up with a good balance of feeding fats to my dogs is simply, when I feed quarter legs or chicken legs, leave that skin on. Simply, when I feed like kidney and things like that, I grind that fat up in there too. Typically, when I grind up hearts, I grind the fat up in there too. I never trim off anything off of any product that I feed my dogs. I feed it all to them. I feed it to them because they need it. It's amazing the way that the body and things are designed to put the right amount of fats, to put the right amount of proteins, the right amount of carbs inside foods themselves to provide the essential nutrients and fats and so on to make sure the body is working properly. And that goes for humans as well as animals. And so I want you guys to really understand that your dogs, in order for your dogs, and I'm talking for my bully breeds right now, because those are the ones that I typically see people trimming off fat and throwing away fat and stuff like that for their dogs. Your dogs need that stuff. If you want your dog to have good energy, and be able to really push and work hard, really work your dog out, really get your dog conditioned into top shape, you're going to need those life-sustaining fats. Because if you don't give those dogs those life-sustaining fats, your dogs will not be able to work hard, your dogs will not be able to push hard, your dogs will not be able to work and push for long periods of time, because they just will not have the energy stored in their body to keep going after they use the energy up from the carbs. All right. Any further questions on this, feel free to chime in, leave a comment or send me a message and I'll go ahead and go over it. It's your man, Chris Jones, NoVACAIN Kennels. This is life-sustaining fats. They are very critical. And the main reason that they're very critical to the survival of your animal is because life-sustaining fats actually fuel your dogs to give them the energy after they use the energy up from carbs.